With the continued rise of inflation, it's no surprise that the cost of growing has gone up as well. I make time-lapse videos growing plants, and every time I start a new project, it seems to cost a little more than before. If you're on a budget or just want to save some cash, this list is for you. This is 9 essentials all indoor growers need. The first thing on our list is lighting, specifically these T5 light strips. Being indoors means we don't have access to the sun at all times, so we must provide our plants with supplemental lighting. And in today's market, there seems to be more lights to choose from than ever before. Some lights go up to $2,000 a light. Now, I'm not saying they're not worth the price tag. What I'm saying is if you're on a budget, these lights are super affordable and they get the job done. They also have the ability to chain link. What this means is you only use one outlet. So as your plant gets bigger, just add more light and just keep the same outlet that you're using. Personally, I use this light for all early growth and especially when I'm propagating or sprouting seeds. These lights work perfect for seed germination. I can't remember a time where I germinated a seed for one of my time-lapse videos and I used another light. Coming in at $42 each strip, this light is a must-have for all indoor growers. The second thing on this list is a timer. More specifically, a digital timer. Timers are used to set a schedule of when something powers on and when something powers off. This is especially useful when you're setting a light schedule for your plants. If you're looking to save some money, you can definitely turn your lights on and off manually, but plugging into a timer really reduces the chances of any errors happening. Just in case you sleep in or you forget one day, it's really not worth it. When you have a timer, it just makes it very simple and gives you peace of mind. Besides that, you can plug anything you want into a timer. Some people use timers for their irrigation, some people use it for fans. The options are endless. It really is up to you what you use it for. Another cool feature about these timers is that you could set an individual schedule for each day of the week. So if you have certain things you want on at certain times, you set the schedule and it'll do the rest. No matter what you use it for, coming in at $10 a timer, this is a must-have for all indoor growers. Third on our list is a humidifier. Humidifiers are used to raise the humidity in the environment. One of the main advantages of growing indoors means we get to choose the temperatures and conditions that our plants will grow in. Some plants enjoy a humid environment, while some plants enjoy a drier climate. Whatever the case is, the choice is yours when you're growing indoors, and you can alter the environment to your needs. Most of my grow projects require a humid room, and that's when the use of a humidifier comes in. Now, there are lots of humidifiers you can find on the market, some cheaper, some more expensive. The one I linked is the one I personally use for my grow projects. If you're not growing commercially or on a large scale, this humidifier for $89 really does the job. If you're gonna be using a humidifier, I really suggest for you to use RO water if you have the opportunity. Using RO water will reduce the chance of any mineral buildup. Fourth on our list is a dehumidifier. As you might have guessed from the name, it is the opposite of what a humidifier is. It takes away the humidity from the air. As I mentioned before, one of the advantages of growing indoors means we have control over our climate. Not every plant enjoys a humid environment, which is where the use of dehumidifiers come in. If you find yourself in the need of a drier climate, a dehumidifier is the perfect tool for you to get the job done. The one I listed is $89. Most brands will just collect the water in the reserve tank on the bottom and it will stop working as soon as it fills up. My advice would be to make sure there's a hose drainage. This way, even when it fills up, the hose will continue draining the water and you won't have to manually remove the water when it gets full. This ensures that your dehumidifier works all night even when you're not there. Up next on our list is the pH probe. pH probes are used to check the pH levels of our water. No matter what nutrients you're feeding, or even if you're just feeding water, you would want to know what your pH level is. There are many pH probes on today's market. Now, Blue Lab is a really trusted brand. If you're going to be buying from another brand, I would suggest just doing a little bit of research before you make any decisions. Having the correct pH is really important for the health of your plant. At $99, this pH probe is a must-have for all indoor growers, which is why we have pH up and down listed as our number 6 item. As you might have guessed, pH up and down raise or decrease the level of pH that you're feeding. Just be sure to use a little bit when you start off. This stuff is very strong and a little goes a long way. Ideally, you never want to fill both up and down in the same solution, so avoid overfilling when you're adding this to your solution. Also, these things are acidic, so please wear gloves when you're working with this. You'll thank me later. At $27 for a bottle of up and down, this is something all indoor growers should keep on deck. Number 7 on our list is a conductivity pen. These pens are used to measure the nutrient concentration and the temperature of the mix that we're feeding. This little device will help you determine if your mix is too strong or if it's too diluted. Now, each species of plants has a preferred diet, so make sure you double check what your plants prefer before you start feeding them. Some plants prefer the lower range while others prefer a higher range. Knowing what you're giving is really important to the health of your plant. Plus, another cool feature about this thing is that you can measure the temperature of your water. Sometimes we want our water cold, or sometimes it's too cold, and this device will help you determine where you're at. At $76, this is something I suggest all indoor growers to use. Coming in at number 8, we have a reservoir, also known as a drum. Now, these are used for a number of things, but what we're going to be using it for is to store a reserve of water when feeding our plants. The size of reservoir we get really depends on the size of our garden we're going to be feeding. When I'm feeding my indoor time-lapse projects, I usually only have 1 to 3 or at most 4 plants at a time. This means I only use 5 gallons of water at most when I'm feeding them. But instead of buying a 5-gallon reservoir, I bought something bigger, and I suggest you do the same. Instead of making a new mix every time I feed my plants, I just make a large batch and I'll let it run for 3 to 5 days before I empty it and start a new one. Most nutrients, when kept in room temperature, will last a few days, which is why I use a 25-gallon reservoir. At $57, this 25-gallon reservoir is one of the most affordable reservoirs I've found on the internet. But before you purchase anything, I really suggest you double check how much water you're going to be feeding your plants. You really don't want to have an overkill size of a reservoir. Buy something that fits your garden. And lastly, the 9th thing on our list is a humidity dome. These domes are used to control the humidity of our seedlings or a small plant without having to change the humidity of the whole room. Most seeds and small plants require high humidity when they're growing, which is why the use of this is really helpful. Just keep in mind, when your plants start growing and the roots develop, you would want to crack open the seals on top of the dome. You want to make sure that your roots are getting enough oxygen, and by opening these vents, you can ensure your roots will. If you decide to go with a different brand, just pay attention to the height of these domes. Some of them are really short and you'll run out of room way too quick. The reason why I went with AC Infinity is because of the size of their dome. It lets your plants grow for a few weeks before you have to get them out of there. That was 9 affordable items, all under $100, that indoor growers could benefit from. I'm not saying these are the only options out there, but if you're on a budget, everything on this list is under $100, and I still use every single item on this list today. Every 2 weeks, I'll be sending out a newsletter in written form that'll cover all things related to plants, photography, editing, and even time lapses. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about the topics I mentioned, I left a link down below where you can sign up for my free newsletter. I'll be sending it out bi-weekly every other Tuesday. Thanks for watching. Until next time.